Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hey Krishna. So it's a pleasure to be here today and to address all of you. As I said, too many groups of young people, you are the future of India and you are the future of the world. But to fulfill that future, Krishna has given us instruction. The title today is Tools. Of course, what Krishna gives us is more than a tool. You may have a hammer, screwdriver, but they don't last very long. So these are eternal. It says that that everything material and spiritual comes from me. So, in other words, everything that we are experiencing, and dear Lord, please, and you chastise people for their anger, and you make them cry. And now you are stealing, and you are angry, and you are crying. So it seems like a paradox. But everything is coming from us. So the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, so many wonderful instructions that can help us mold our lives in such a way that we can live a better life. That's the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. But that's not the only purpose. Purpose is to surrender to Krishna. Just like how does one get a habit? How do we get a habit? Just like some people, they like to drink alcohol, or they like to smoke cigarettes or bidis or whatever. Arjuna, you are a fool. Otherwise, Arjuna, you are a fool. Otherwise, the very first thing that appears in a child's life is ahankar. The first thing that Krishna directly instructs. Of course, he gives some instructions before that. No, that all this knowledge that I have given you, unlimited knowledge I've given you, and so where did this ignorance come upon you? And this is very, very important. So this was an indication. Otherwise, he's saying that Krishna is telling us that don't live in a world of perception. What I feel, what I like, because these things come from identification with the body. And where does that come from? The Bhagavatam says that kunape chitta dukkhe, that the first identification with the body, with this world, is the body, which is just a bag of elements. Just like if you open up the body anywhere, you can open up here, it's not very nice. As Prasad Maharaj said, this body produces three things: urine, stool, and bad odors. But you open up the bag, it's not very nice, but the outer packing looks very nice. So Krishna, one of the first things he teaches Arjuna, after teaching him that he's a fool, we may be intelligent compared to others, but compared to Krishna, we chant Shikshastika prayer. We say, Sita Duli Sadrisham Vichindaya. My Lord, just let me understand that allow me to be a tiny speck at your lotus feet. Just allow me that position. I don't deserve that, but allow me that position. So, this humility. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches this, Krishna taught this. First you become humble. Then you can learn something. Just like if someone is in the university or school, whatever, there's a teacher. You must obey the teacher, otherwise you can't learn. Even in ordinary material education, if the teacher says, I don't believe that. Teacher says something about history or geography. I don't think it's like that. I think the world is flat. So the teacher will say, well, you can think that outside the door, but in here, this is what you will learn. So this is a very essential beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. And another very important thing, just a little bit later, after first Krishna teaches that, and then he teaches you have to learn to be tolerant. And what does he give an example of tolerant? Shitoshna, Sukha Dukkha, because we all experience these things. We have to experience these things. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. Now it's getting cold. And now, it was very hot, and we're hankering for the cold. Then it will get cold, December, January. We'll be saying, when will it warm up? So, otherwise, Krishna is saying, in this material atmosphere, you will never be satisfied. So actually, Krishna is teaching us that in this material world, the only way to be satisfied is Krishna consciousness. Because it's hot, it's cold. It's basically about men and women coming together and then separating. Actually, Prasad Maharaj says that, interesting, he says, I can't remember the verse right now. I can't remember, but anyway. So, Priya Viyoga Samyoga Janma. He says that very curious this world. Priya Viyoga. Everything I like, I get separated from. And Apriya Samyoga. And everything I don't like, I'm come in contact with it. So that's the nature of this world. So in this world, Krishna is teaching us, just at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, be tolerant. So otherwise, in Krishna is saying, this world is designed to bring you to the spiritual platform. But it's also designed in such a way that you just don't automatically go there. Because it looks very good, just like, again, the example of the body. The body may look good, or some bodies don't even look good even from the outside. But definitely, they look worse on the inside. And so, that's the material world. It looks nice. Maya makes it look nice. But then, Krishna teaches us, it's not so nice. Otherwise, why are there so many problems? Why are there earthquakes? Why are there cyclones or typhoons? Why are there all these things? And so the point is that learning to be tolerant, these are not just, how to get along in the material world. It's actually teaching us you can't get along in the material world. You have to go beyond it. You have to, just like when I was 16 years old, I went to work in another country, and for the summer during vacation time. And my parents decided to come and pick me up. And so they drove down to Guatemala, which is a pretty long drive. And so they arrived, and the day after they arrived, we were in a hotel, and there was a revolution. Revolution started. Socialists against the capitalists, or whatever. I don't know what they were revolting against. But anyway, so everybody on the streets throwing rocks at one another and yelling, and we were up in the hotel eating a nice meal, just observing. So this is transcendence. This is what Krishna is teaching us in Bhagavad Gita. You have to go above this world. And then you can see what's going on. And therefore Krishna says in the 5th chapter about this transcendence, you have to come to the point where you see that everything is happening through the three modes of nature. And to help us see that better, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches us how these modes of nature work. What are their effects, so that we can see them working on ourselves and we can see them working on others, and we can understand these modes of nature practically. So instead of just hearing, oh, there's tamas and rajas, and just like one example I give, let's say someone goes to the sea beach, and so someone in the mode of goodness, they go, they sit down, they see the vastness of the ocean, and they meditate on the greatness of the Supreme, or something very goodness, the ocean meeting the sky, and someone in the mode of passion, they come to the same place, but because of the mode of passion, they're thinking, I can build a road here, I can build some condominiums, and I'll make so much money. And a person in the mode of ignorance will come with big music box, disturb everybody, and throw their trash and their papers everywhere, so that it's like doesn't look very beautiful anymore, and go away. Same place, same weather, but the modes of nature are like a radio channel. You see what frequency you tune into. Sometimes we're in ignorance with a little bit of passion with a little bit of ignorance. Passion with a little goodness, ignorance with a little goodness. Like ignorance with goodness means I'm killing someone, but I'm thinking, well, maybe that wasn't so good. So all these combinations, so many combinations, 81 major combinations and infinite minor combinations of the modes of nature. And so all of this is taught to us in Bhagavad Gita so that we can transcend. So then Krishna goes on in the 2nd chapter, and he instructs Arjuna, and Arjuna starts to, lament again. First, Krishna tells him not to lament, and then he begins to lament again. How can I kill with arrows my teacher, my grandfather? How can I do these things? What will it lead to? And then after he speaks a few lines, then he just says that Karpanya dosha pahata svabhava, that I've lost my composure, I don't know what to do. And then the most important thing he says, Yat Shreya Shandishtitam Bruhitam Me. Krishna, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. This is a very important lesson in life. Tell me what to do. Tell me what I should do clearly. No. Otherwise, usually we want people to tell us what we want to hear. No. We don't want to tell them, just like you start to speak to someone about Krishna, and immediately they want to change the subject. No. Start talking about God, and they want, no, no time. But you start telling them how wonderful they are, they have all the time in the world. So this is Krishna consciousness. And so Arjuna says, just tell me clearly. This is a very important thing for learning anything in life. That you have to understand that the person from whom I'm inquiring has something valuable to give me, and what to speak of Krishna, who gives us the most valuable thing. And then he tells us, how do you accept something that is clearly Shishasteham Sharimam Kam Kapana? First, you're in the mode of the student. When you stop learning in Krishna consciousness or in anything, you stop advancing, you stop progressing. If you stop learning in life, if you think now I've learned everything, then you actually know nothing. One of the first yoga teachings I had was, before knowing Krishna consciousness, was the farther you go, the less you know. And the more you go in, the more you understand. Otherwise, that the answer is within understanding the Jivatma. Not the farther you go outward into the outward world, the more you get involved in ignorance. And that was just a Mayavadi who taught that. So they have some good teachings until you get to the point. They're pretty good, not being the body and do some sacrifice. But when it comes to understanding the Supreme, well, they fall a little short. So then Krishna tells us, as we already discussed, you're a fool, be tolerant. And then he begins to teach about the soul, the most valuable thing in life. Later on in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us how we can become dear to him. And this is how we can become dear to anyone. But of course, we want to become dear to Krishna. Because if you become dear to Krishna, just like it says about the six Goswamis, they were friendly to everyone. And everyone considered them a friend because they were friendly to everyone. And so, the same thing Krishna says. So how do you become dear to everyone? Adveshta sarva bhutanam. First, you give up envy. Envy makes you want what you have. And this is, in any tradition, this greed is considered to be a very, very bad quality. Very interesting that our whole world right now is based on greed. You drive down the street, what do you see? One advertisement after another. Buy this jewelry, this clothing, get your dream apartment. They have some woman looking over the ocean, beautiful scene. They don't show what's really down there on below the building. But get just every time I see these things advertised, it says, reserve your unit quickly, they're going fast. So I saw that once in Latin America. So I went in as if I wanted to buy something. And I said, so I'm thinking about buying one, but I don't have the money right now. That's all right, we have plenty. Things we surrender to. But then when Krishna says, surrender to me and get this transcendental knowledge, you will get eternal transcendental bliss. I don't have time. So this is the unfortunate condition we're in. So therefore, Krishna teaches us all these things in Bhagavad Gita. And then not to be attached to happiness. Isn't it? Like Krishna's saying that. But be attached to transcendental happiness. But understand where it comes from. And then Krishna says, Maya Pita Mano Buddhir. This is where it comes from. Maya Pita Mano Buddhir. Surrender your mind and your intelligence to me. Worship me with your mind and your intelligence. He already said how to worship him with the body. Now you worship me with the mind. It depends on your parents. And so Krishna is saying, I'm giving you, if you surrender. Krishna is saying, I'm giving you, if you surrender to me, I'm giving you unlimited happiness. But still we don't want to surrender. So Bhagavad Gita is teaching us all these things. How to be, and of course, nirmamo nirahankara. Give up this false ego. This idea that I'm better than others. Understand that I am the servant of others. If you're a servant of everyone, then it's very easy to be peaceful. But if you want to be the king of everyone, then it's very difficult. Then, just like one time I was invited to speak to a dictator, General Torrijos in Panama, another little country. And so came and spoke to him. And then his right-hand man, his name was Noriega, so he said, in this, whatever you're teaching here, this yoga and everything, is there like a mantra how to kill people? Real politician. And so I said, yes, such mantras exist, but we're not interested in those mantras. Well, I am. And he said, well, anyway, okay. I'll give you the address of someone you can go speak to about that. So then he left the room, and the general said, he just wants to take my position. So even though he's the dictator, he tells everybody what to do, but he's always in anxiety. Somebody will take over. So as long as we want to dominate, to be in charge of others, to make others subordinate, then life is very difficult. But when you're a servant of everyone, then life is very easy, because people love to be served. So if we serve them, then we're happy because we're engaged in our eternal activity of being a servant to Krishna. And, and of course, sometimes they don't like the service we're giving. Like trying to give them a book that they don't want. When the devotees of Krishna go out, just imagine, what are we doing? We're telling people, take this book. It will tell you how you're a fool, and how everything you've done in your life is a complete waste of time, and how all those things that you like so much are sinful, and you should give them up. Here, buy this book. If you introduce the book like that, this book will tell you that everything you've done with your life up to now is a complete waste of time. Especially if you give it to a 70-year-old. Like you give it to maybe a 10-year-old, they may accept that, or a 15-year-old. But give it to a 70-year-old. Everything you've done is a waste of time. Everything you want is useless. But it's a great book. It's like sometimes I tell people, now what if somebody came to you and said, I have a great business deal for you. I mean, this is the best deal you've ever, you have to invest everything. And okay, what is it? First you tell me that you'll invest everything. Then I'll tell you what you'll get. Okay, and what will I get? You'll lose everything. So how many people will invest? But that's what we're doing. Maya is saying, you surrender to me, I'll give you everything. And then she takes everything away. You lose everything. So we're the worst business people in the world. Even the Elon Musks and the Adanis and the Ambanis, and they're all going to lose everything. And Arjuna brings this up in Bhagavad Gita. He says to Krishna, he's lamenting, that Krishna, I can't dry up this weakness, which is, the tears in my eyes, I can't stop them. Because even if I had a kingdom with the sovereignty of the demigods here on earth, it's not worth it. So Arjuna was telling us this lesson, that unless you have Krishna, you're going to lose everything. Everything you work for. Just like all of you are working for some, studying in some field, some endeavor, and it will, you may become successful. But I haven't met many people in their life who don't become disappointed at some point. They're always, as I said, always lacking something. And so if we realize that whatever I'm doing, I have to relate it to Krishna, and this is Krishna's instruction. Yad Jehosi, Ashnansi Yad Jehosi Darasi Yat Tatasasti Konteya Yat Karushva. That everything you do, everything you eat, everything you give away, everything just make it an offering to me. Then everything becomes meaningful. Studying becomes meaningful. The family becomes meaningful. If we offer it to Krishna, everything becomes meaningful. But if we just try to enjoy it separately from Krishna, then everything becomes a struggle. And therefore Krishna says, Prakriti Stani Karshati, that the material world means struggle for existence. People go to work every day, big lines of cars going into town, then big lines of cars coming out of town, and then, or you're in the train with 500 other people and going in, going out, or whatever your situation is. It's always demanding, and there's never enough. And it gets worse. Just like when I was a young boy, nobody's mother worked. Not one mother that I knew of, any friend or anybody I knew, nobody's mother worked. And now, practically speaking, every woman and man work. So this world, is it giving us something better? Is life getting better? No. This is like, and you look at Srila Prabhupada, his father would worship the deity for like 8 hours a day, and he would go work for like 3 or 4 hours. And he maintained his family. So, and now can anyone do that? Well, maybe, some very wealthy person. They could work for 3 or 4 hours, but then there'll be an anxiety the rest of the time. That if I lose this, if I lose that. And so they never stop working, and their brain never stops working. Even though they may physically give 3 or 4 hours or no hours in the office, they're in anxiety. Another very wealthy person I met was the richest person in one country, Guatemala, another small country, and wealthiest person. So this lady invited me to her house. I went there, big walls with barbed wire and everything, guards. And so when I sat down to speak to her, I said, "Madam, it looks like you live in a prison. Big walls, wire on the top, and guards everywhere." And she looked at me and she said, "You're right. I'm like a prisoner. If I go outside, I'm in anxiety. Someone will kidnap me. Someone will steal my money." And so And unfortunately, she had a brief realization, but I didn't get invited back. So. So the point is that the more you have, the more difficult it is to. Therefore, Krishna says, "Nir yoga kshema atmavan," a very important lesson. That to acquire something is difficult. To maintain it is more difficult. Just like we built this temple, everything was nice and new, and now there's a few cracks here and there. Some things are rusting. So to maintain it is more difficult. And then to give it up is even more difficult. Therefore, Krishna says that, tackle it right in the root. Don't acquire more than you need. As Gandhi said, that if one person wants tries to get what they want, there's not enough in the universe for one person. But if we get what we need, then there's enough for everyone. We all have a quota. If everyone accepts their quota, there's enough for everyone. Like Srila Prabhupada said, the elephants, they're eating 50 kilos a day. And they're still eating. Only the human beings have problems with hunger. And tigers sometimes. The tigers, Prabhupada said, there's a little bird that sits on their back and he makes a sound. And all the animals know the tiger is coming. So sometimes tigers are hungry. But they always manage to live. But the human being, just like you look at an anthill or a beehive, there's thousands of bees coming in and out, but you never see a traffic jam. They're coming in and out all the time, but they're always moving. But the humans, you get stuck in traffic, especially in Delhi, Mumbai. You just go out, you will be in traffic anywhere you go. So we can't even resolve this. Something that bees and ants have resolved for as long as they existed. And we can't resolve that. And we're supposed to be the most intelligent. So we can resolve that by uncomplicating life. And Bhagavad Gita is meant for that. We make life so complicated. And Krishna makes life so easy. He says, well, how does life become easy? Satatam kirtayan doma. Always glorify me, always chant my holy name. And whatever you hear, apply it carefully to your life. And namashantas chamam bhaktya. And with great devotion, follow what I'm instructing you. And then, you will be eternally engaged in interacting with me in devotional service. So, Krishna makes it very easy, and we make it very difficult. So who should we follow? Just like we do kirtan, we go, Tayor Haribo, Haribo. No. And you go to a political rally, they all have signs, Trump, Putin, Modi, whatever, whoever it is. Modi is definitely better than the other two, but still, you see people wild. It doesn't matter who the politician is, there'll be a whole group chanting their glories. So this is something, we want to chant the glories of someone. Some musician, some artist, some philosopher, some writer, some business magnate, some actor, some actress, Miss Universe, whatever. We admire someone. So Krishna says, just admire me. I'm the most beautiful, I'm the most intelligent. Whatever we're looking for in anyone in this world, we find it in the maximum degree of manifestation in Krishna. So, and we only have to go to one person. And that one person is available 24 hours a day. Just like Krishna is the most wealthy person. Now, how many wealthy people have asked you, come and live with me, and I'll take care of everything? Have you met any? No. Come, they may say, come and clean my house, or come and work on my garden, but they won't tell you to come and live with me. And not only that, I will become your subordinate. How many people will do that? But Krishna is saying that. I want you to come and live with me eternally, and I will be your subordinate. I will do what you want. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna tells Krishna, please take my chariot in between the two armies. And Arjuna is thinking, I don't want to tell Krishna something, but he wants me to do it. And therefore I must do it. Because everything that Krishna does is eternal and perfect. He's infallible, Achyuta. He says, therefore, I will do it. I'm telling you, Achyuta, you're infallible. Only because you're infallible, I'm telling you what to do, so that your infallibility will remain intact. So right in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is becoming submissive to Arjuna. And why? Bhakto means sakachati, that because you are my devotee and my friend. So Krishna tells us, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, I am the best friend that you'll ever have. If you just accept me as your best friend, then your life will be perfect. So every instruction, if we analyze every instruction in Bhagavad Gita, it's very practically applicable in our lives. We just have to do it. And if we do that, then Krishna will be pleased with us and we can go back home, back to God. So these are some examples that, and there's so many examples. You can just sit down in Bhagavad Gita and see, just read any verse, except for maybe, so-and-so was on this side or so-and-so was on that side. Maybe those verses aren't so instructive, but you just find any verse, give up anger, What is my problem in life? Kama-esha, krodesha, rajaguna, samudbhava. You're too much under the control of the mode of passion, which creates lust and anger. Desire, we desire something, and if we get it, we then lobha, we want more. And if we don't get it, krodha, or angry. So, therefore, unnecessary desires will just create problems. So any verse you pick, Bhagavad Gita, and you can apply it, and you can see how this not only is it a spiritual instruction from Krishna, but it's a practical means of navigating this world successfully. And so those are some thoughts I've had. I'll stop here. Any comments, any questions?
To the degree you have faith, to that degree I will protect you. To that degree you have faith, to that degree I will provide you protection. So how can we increase our faith?
How can we
increase our faith that Krishna is the best?
Increase our faith?
In Krishna.
Well, just you can start what you're already doing, chanting Hare Krishna. We increase our faith by increasing our service. Otherwise, the more we chant, the more we take prasadam, the more we hear, then that increases our faith. So Bhagavad Gita is the perfect instrument. We're talking about instruments for increasing faith, because Bhagavad Gita is based on logic. Logic is there. It's very logical. Even the first part of the Bhagavatam, very logical. It takes us to the point where logic no longer can, maximum. There's a maximum limit you can reach with logic. Just like Einstein, he had his formula E equals mc2. MC squared. So that was the limit. You can't go beyond the speed of light. Nobody has done it so far. They've gone beyond the speed of sound. Now Krishna will go beyond the speed of light. So beyond the speed of light, it's interesting if you analyze that formula. That energy equals mass and time. Otherwise, as time increases or velocity increases, mass becomes unlimited. So the point is that you go beyond when you get to the point of pure energy or Shakti or Krishna Shakti, then you go beyond mass. So it's a very interesting formula if you analyze it. And so the point is that Bhagavad Gita is logical. But then there are parts of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that you chant my glories. That may not be, you can't analyze that logically. You have to do it. But if you do it, otherwise why are you here? Because you chanted and you feel the effect. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Many people may come here and they may chant, they don't feel anything and they go away. But you're here and everyone is here because you felt the effects of Bhagavad Gita. You felt the effects of Krishna consciousness. So how to increase the faith? Keep chanting, keep serving, keep engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service. And your faith will increase. And of course, Rupa Goswami, he tells us how to do it. First, there's initial faith. It seems logical. Then you associate with devotees. And by seeing, especially when we associate with devotees who are more advanced than us, we see the qualities that we've been hearing about manifested in those persons. We see humility. We see tolerance. We see this process works. So by that association, then you decide, let me commit myself, bhajana kriya. And when you commit yourself and you associate with devotees, then you have the strength for anartha nivritti, to go beyond the difficulties of overcoming the habits or addictions of this world. Addiction to money, addiction to, the real addiction is not drugs or alcohol, it's dhana, jana, and sundari, kavita, fruitive activities, opposite sex, fame, recognition, and money. So we go beyond these things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks for the wonderful lecture. I have a question, just try to say, we have the so many things under the surrender, like government, ECU, give the example, like when we are, but sometimes we are surrendering to Lord Krishna, like sometimes we go to around the temple, we take the surrender, like please Lord Krishna help me, like that. So I have a question, how to increase the surrender unto Lord Krishna, because we are surrendering so many things, like professor, teacher, college, and sometimes Lord Krishna.
What is the purpose of those things?
Because ultimate goal of
you're surrendering to a conception of life. There's a conception of life that if I do these things, I will get something. That Krishna is telling you, if you do this, you bow down to me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru mam vivaishasi. Krishna says, if you think of me always, you become my devotee, you worship me, and you bow down. Bowing down means you obey. You follow the rules. You're always connected with me. Then you'll come to me. So these other things, then I just mentioned that. Yat karoshi arashnasi. So we learn how to offer those things to Krishna. There's nothing separate from Krishna. The only separation from Krishna is in our mind. Otherwise, everything's coming from Krishna and everything belongs to Krishna. But in my mind, in my consciousness, I create Maya. Otherwise, everything already belongs to Krishna. But in my mind, it belongs to me. And so therefore, in my mind, I'm separating my work. I'm separating family from Krishna. So I'm departmentalizing. I have my spiritual department, my recreational department, my family department, my work department. Just like you open a newspaper. A newspaper has financial, and you have entertainment, and so we don't want to convert Krishna consciousness into a newspaper. It's just departments. We have to see that everything has to contribute to our Krishna consciousness. That's what Krishna is telling us to do. If you do that, you'll be successful, you'll be happy. But no, we want to give ourselves an excuse why I can't be Krishna conscious, because I have to work, I have to go to school, therefore I can't be Krishna conscious. That's really what's going on in our brain. We're always looking for an excuse why not to surrender to Krishna. I would surrender, but I'd love to surrender. I can do so tomorrow or next week or maybe in 15 years. I'll have everything all worked out. But you may not be counting on I'll get sick, there'll be COVID, there'll be a world war, all these little things that happen. Little things, big things. I got married. I thought she was the dream of my life, but it turns out she's like, something other than a dream. More like a nightmare. So we think everything looks wonderful in the material world. Therefore, Krishna said that what is poison in the beginning becomes nectar at the end, and what looks like nectar in the beginning becomes like poison at the end. So Krishna is giving you so much wisdom. Yes.
I have a question. How to get academic success and spiritual success in the spiritual world with practicing Krishna consciousness by the effects of Bhagavad Gita?
How can you, what in the spiritual world?
How to get success in academic in material world?
How?
Academic in material world.
How to
Get success in academic.
To get
Success in studies.
As well as follow Krishna consciousness.
how to become
Success in academics.
How to become successful in material world with practicing Krishna.
oh okay successful well that's there's a saying that you want your cake and to eat it too. But success in the material world means to become Krishna conscious. Because if you become Krishna conscious, then you'll become expert in everything. It's actually the Prabhupada, he was Krishna conscious. He was expert cook. He was an expert businessman. He was expert at everything because he was Krishna conscious. Because Krishna is the source of all intelligence. Krishna will make you successful, but it's just that he may not make you successful in the way you want to be successful. That's what surrender means. You know? But that's the way it is with anyone. Otherwise, if you want to be successful in this world, you're going to have to surrender to someone. You have to surrender to some corporation or your own business, which means every day you have to go and spend so many hours. So it's all surrender. It's just, who will I surrender to? You can't become successful. Even if, let's say someone wants to be a politician, then you have to work with the wealthy people, the powerful people, and you have to try to satisfy them so that they will allow you to be their leader. And even if you become a dictator, I met another dictator and he invited me to his house, and I went there, and because I had Bhagavad Gita, he wanted the Bhagavad Gita, and then he told me, I'm the dictator. Everybody follows me. I don't serve anyone. No, I said, but no, you're serving the people. No, they do what I say. No, I don't serve them. I'm the dictator. And so then I thought, well, what am I going to tell him? He doesn't accept anything I say. And then his wife came and said, Annie, come here. I said, see, you're a servant. He said, okay, I accept. And then the next day, about 3 days later, there was a revolution and they threw him out. So even though he was the most successful in that situation, he got thrown out. So even if you become the most successful person in India, what's your name? Okay, so you become the most wealthy. You're wealthier than Adani, wealthier than Ambani. But then death will come and kick you out. So, it doesn't matter how many billions and billions and trillions of whatever money that is available, you'll get kicked out. And so, just like Srila Prabhupada said, however much money or power you may have, you can't buy one more moment of life. And he gave the example of one of his people he knew, very wealthy man. So the doctor said, you have 3 months to live. And he said, doctor, please do something. I need 6 more months. He said, no, can't do anything. Yes. I think one more question. I've been saying everywhere we should get one of those drones. Take the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for giving us one question. Manojji, how can we increase our surrender toward Guru Parampara?
How can we
increase our surrender toward Guru Parampara?
Well, just do it. Otherwise, the answer to one senior devotee many years ago, I was saying, how do I do this? Said, the answer to all the how-to questions is chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, you become a pure devotee. You become purified by this process. And that's the how-to. We want, this is what I call allopathic bhakti. We want a pill. We want some magical little thing that we can do. Instead of just every day trying to surrender to Krishna, chanting carefully, following these principles. No, how do, otherwise we're saying, give me some shortcut. We all want a shortcut to Krishna. But there is a shortcut. It's called the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called the Sankirtan movement. We chant, we dance, we take prasadam. And we understand that Everything is contained in these three activities. The more we chant, the more we dance, and the more we take prasadam. Of course, don't take too much prasadam. There's a limit on that one, no. But the more we only take prasadam, then we will become successful. And that's the real how-to, is do what Lord Chaitanya said, do what Krishna said. But we want to find something else, because our mind is saying, really, there's no way you can be Krishna conscious. You can't be fully Krishna conscious. You have to do this. You're special. You're different from everyone. Krishna is giving these instructions for the whole universe, but you're outside. You're outside the box. Yeah, this is not for you. We're always looking for an excuse how not to be Krishna conscious. No. Yeah.
Maharaj, you talked about this, to go beyond this material course of nature. But we try again and again, but again we get enlightenment in this course of nature. And we get in the spiritual process, the result, the values we can get out of that chanting and everything. But these natures are so in fact so strong that they influence that process also. I think chanting, the Buddha, so that influences that process also. So how these processes or the
We have to study more carefully how the modes of nature work. We have chapter 14, chapter 17, chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Then there's 3 chapters in teachings of Lord Kapila Dev that deal with the modes of nature. So if we study all that very carefully, then we can see, we begin to see the pattern that the modes of nature follow. But again, every time we want to, how can we get out of these modes of nature? Well, we be more Krishna conscious. Like you're saying, we try and try. Well, you keep trying. Just like I was just saying, if it takes us 20 years or 15, 20 years to learn how to be a doctor or a lawyer or a engineer or whatever, how much more effort will it take to become a pure devotee? Although you can become a pure devotee in one moment, you can't become a doctor in one moment, but you can become a pure devotee. That's how powerful Krishna consciousness is. But at the same time, because it's the greatest thing in the universe, the greatest thing that exists, it will naturally require some effort. Just like no one can take a sitar and in 5 minutes become expert. It'll take years. But once you learn, then it just flows. It flows and it's very pleasurable, very pleasant. But while you're learning, it's very difficult. So, like anything in this world, it's like that. So, the fact that the modes of nature are difficult to be able to overcome should give us more faith in Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness is so great that it's going to require more effort. Therefore, that contributes to my understanding of its greatness. That's my response. Hare Krishna. Yes. Okay.
Maharaj, whatever material conception in our mind, how to break it? Whatever material conceptions are.
By hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, you'll have a spiritual conception. And they will overcome. Param Drishvani Vartate, Krishna says in the Gita, that when you get something superior, the inferior thing will diminish and go away. It will become uninteresting. So the material conceptions mean that I think this is great, and Krishna consciousness is something theoretical, intangible, something I can't grab on. I can grab onto this, this material conception. I can grab onto it. I can feel it. I can touch it. But Krishna consciousness is still intangible. But when Krishna consciousness becomes becomes the reality, then all those other things will become, just like I always say, we've already done this so many times in our life. When we were a small child, we had some toy or something, and if somebody tried to take it away, there would be a big scandal. But then I get a new toy and I forget about it. So we've all practiced renunciation. We've all found something greater and given up something lesser. But somehow or another, when we try to apply that to spirituality, it's very difficult. That just means that Krishna consciousness, I haven't been able to make it the main reality in my existence. When you do that, then everything else becomes just like we all go to the bathroom, to the washroom. No, it's not like everyone's biggest aspiration in the day. No, when can I go to the washroom? No, but you have to go. But it's insignificant. No, it's not. No, just something you have to do. So when we become Krishna conscious, everything in the so-called material sphere becomes like going to the washroom. It's something that I have to do. But my reality is something else. So, Gorkishore Das Babaji, therefore, sometimes he would chant in the washroom. Just to say, this is like material existence. But even if I'm in the washroom, if I'm chanting, then it becomes transcendental. Hare Krishna. So I think we can stop here, otherwise, unfortunately, everyone's time is above us all. And so I thank you all very much for your kind attention. And I pray to Sri Radha Madhava that you will all become successful in Krishna consciousness and pure devotees tomorrow. I pray, but that doesn't mean it will happen.
So we would like to thank Maharaj. So very beautifully Maharaj started that how whatever habits we have is the association either from previous life or this life. And very beautifully Maharaj presented many teachings from Bhagavad Gita. Envy, greed, material aspirations, death, waiting. And in the last Maharaj very beautifully concluded. And the answer to all how to is encourage. So we would like to thank Maharaj along with chanting 3 times. Request Maharaj that Maharaj keeps visiting here so that we can have more opportunities to hear from Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.